Welcome to Built to Win, the podcast created to help you level up your business game by developing a success mindset made for the long run. In this episode, Neora's Dave Fleming talks with National Marketing Director Mandy Drozda, a pediatric nurse practitioner who found an entirely new calling when she discovered Neora. Mandy shares her story of how she overcame her skepticism toward direct sales and discovered success. She also shares the role that personal development and the book The Sly Edge have played in that success, and how her new career gave her time back with her family.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We're here at Built to Win, and this episode, I'm really pleased. I get to sit down with Mandy Drozda, who works with me at Neora, and we're going to talk about Neora. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about all things, everything about business and mindset, and all the things that you're used to hearing from us on Built to Win. So we'll start, Mandy, for people that don't know you, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you live, a little bit about your life, and what's going on right now.
Great. Thanks for having me. I am actually a nurse practitioner by trade. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been sharing Neora, which I love dearly, for the last 10 and a half years. I have 3 kids. They are very active, 17, 15, and about to turn 12. And my husband works from home, and I just get all the pleasures. Hopefully we don't have children running in and trying to get themselves on the podcast also, but you never know.
Yeah. And if we do, it'll just be kind of par for the course here. We welcome all. We're very family friendly here on Built to Win. But, so background nurse practitioner. How long were you doing that? And is that what you always wanted to do, or was that?
That's a good question. I always wanted to be a nurse. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do business or nursing. So I went to the lovely student center in college, and they take that test, and the arrows were opposite. One went to healthcare and one went to business. So I just picked. So I was a nurse for 10 years before I went back and got my nurse practitioner. I actually had a 90-day sabbatical where I took a pharmaceutical sales job. And absolutely did not like it, did not like sales, and went right back to my nursing career. And that's what drove me to get my master's degree. And then I practiced as a nurse practitioner for 8 years. And that was actually 8 years ago now.
All right. So So master's degree in nursing.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a bachelor's of science in nursing, essentially, which makes you able to then sit for the boards and become a certified nurse practitioner, if you will.
Very, very cool. That's really cool. We get people with all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of different experiences. And so I think you're the first on the Built to Win podcast that has a master's degree in nursing and was a licensed nurse practitioner. So congratulations, I guess, for being the first. But that's awesome. So you did that for a little while, and then describe, like, how did you go from that to Neora, and then also, how long have you been with Neora?
So Neora, it'll be 11 years in December, and I had a very old, not old, that's the wrong word. He would be offended. Friend of mine from growing up, and he reached out and said that his wife had found something that he thought that I could do very well, and he wanted to share a little bit of information with me. And I tend to be a little bit of a straight shooter, or you could call it like a smart aleck. And I very kindly said, no way. I assumed they were selling makeup. That was my assumption. And yeah. I said, I can't believe you sell makeup for your wife. Like, that's amazing, but no, thank you. And what drove me to sort of look back was he was always a person of high integrity, which is a person of their word. And he had sent me a before and after picture of his wife. And I thought, there is not a single chance that he would, first of all, edit a picture. And you have to remember that was almost 11 years ago, which, yes, people were editing pictures 11 years ago, but not as common as they are now. And I knew for certain there's no way he edited his wife, then got out, his little address book from 1995 and found everybody he ever knew to send them a fake picture of his wife. So I thought, that picture's real. And he was always a good guy, always a good friend, kind of like a brother to me. And I thought, what are they doing? But I thought that what are they doing for 6 weeks? So don't think I just
Okay.
like jumped back in the message the next day after I gave him a lot of grief in the message. I watched kind of for a few weeks and he was very gracious. We realized that our children were the same ages and the same sexes, which is very strange. I have a girl and two boys. I hadn't seen them in a long time. And so we're living the same life, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he made that connection. He did not blast me in sales mode. He did not really say much more about what his wife was doing. He took my word for not being interested and just kind of went on being my friend. And it was during the holiday season. And after the holidays, I was 37 at the time. And I looked at pictures of myself and thought, oh, we have a problem. Like that face, that does not look good. I was really looking haggard. I looked like a mom that had, babies and dogs and grocery bags and two jobs. And I looked it and I thought, I wonder if that one step night cream could fix that. And that's really what drove me to kind of look back. And with social media at the time, that is when social media was starting to be more than just a picture of your flowers or your hobby or your coffee. And I went back and sort of looked to see what they were doing. And I had this is the other thing. So my youngest child had a stroke when he was born, and my intuition after he was born that he would be totally fine, even though his scans said differently. And I had a professional counselor say to me, I need you to run with that feeling. I need you to run with the feeling that you think he's going to be totally fine. If that's what your gut's telling you, go for it. And he turned out totally fine. And so ever since his birth, when my gut tells me something, I do not ignore it. And it has never been wrong. And my gut was like, you need to call them, and it kept coming back and kept coming back. So I finally said, you know what? I'm going to have a conversation with your wife. Petrified out of my mind, assuming I was going to be told what to do, how to do it now. And if you don't, you're a loser. I really thought that was what was going to happen. And I should have known better just because of who he was, right? So I got on the call. I almost canceled it. And I remember her saying very succinctly, well, my cousin had sent me a before and after picture of herself, and I knew my cousin wouldn't edit a picture. And my cousin runs a big personal training business. So of course she would not falsely represent something that like makes you better. And she said I wanted to use it. And I really didn't think it was in the family budget. And so I decided to join to get mine free. And that's when my moment went, whoa, hold on, you're normal. You also looked at a picture of someone you trusted and knew they didn't edit it. So it's got to be real. And what do you mean free? Because my biggest probably objection at the time, honestly, was how is it going to fit into the budget?
Mm-hmm.
I used, I don't even know what I used. I just said yesterday to somebody, I wish I have a video on what was in my cabinet that week, because I would never have spent over $7 ever in my life. And I'm sure it was whatever was on sale on the end cap. And I don't even know if it was like for your face, to be honest with you. It might have been like Vaseline intensive care. So I ended up joining that day, very skeptically, very scared. And I was going to get it free. Um, and I was going to prove Patrick wrong. I was going to be the one to say, I told you this wasn't real. I told you they wouldn't send me free product. I told you that you were wrong. I was right. And that was my plan. So I didn't think beyond about, well, I guess I had to give them a month because they would have to send it to me. I talk about it like they're an evil stepchild and it's this phenomenal company. But in my heart, I was so skeptical and I said, I've got to give them the month, right? Because I have to earn it. And then I actually get to take advantage of what I earned the following month. So we'll give them that. But in 30 days, this was over. In my mind, there was like nothing beyond 30 days.
Interesting. And just because, and why was that? Just you'd never like did you know people who'd done direct selling hadn't worked out for them, or was it just
Yeah.
okay?
Yes. And I think that what my experience in the direct selling I had been exposed to was very, what's the proper way to say it? Like dog eat dog. Like, what have you done for me lately? You've got to work and you got
Okay.
to get it. And you got to buy $5,000 worth of stuff and then you got to sell it. And you don't end up making any money, but some guy at the top makes all the money.
Mm.
And I probably was a person that was I was, I hate to say this, but I was very half empty, very much like that's not possible, that's not real. And it was really stories in my head, let's just be honest. And probably the way I was raised, traditional, like you work hard, boots on the ground. That stuff doesn't happen to people. That's not real. And so I just came in with all my guards up, almost to a
Okay.
fault. And I think that probably one of the most important parts about really, I think the success of Neora is the belief in people until
Hmm.
they can see it for themselves. And I did work. I did, and I hate to say work because I really had a picture and was like, this is amazing, and we're all going to use it, and you're going to buy it. And if you're mad at me, we'll ship it back together, and we'll put yours and mine in the same box, and we'll send them back, and we'll move on with our life. But you should try it once. And that is how I lived. I was a lot of ignorance on fire, and it was amazing. And people were buying it. So if you call that work, that's what was happening. Um,
Yeah, because you mentioned you tried pharmaceutical sales for a minute and didn't like selling.
no.
So I'm curious because a lot of people's objection to, oh, I don't want to do direct selling because I don't want to sell.
Right. Right.
So
And
so how did
go
that,
ahead.
yeah, tell me through how that changed, or maybe did it change? Maybe it's not the same thing.
Well, I feel like I always wondered what was that night. It was really about 120 days. I quit my nursing job like 4 weeks before my wedding, which you should never make life decisions around your wedding because everything's blurry and fancy and Disney World-ish, and that's not reality at all.
Yeah.
I started the job for 3 weeks, then I went to training out of town, did all the things, um, and came back. Life went back to mundane normal. And I thought, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And I didn't like, there's a lot of things with pharmaceuticals that evolved and changed. I think if you're selling a drug everyone needs and it's still only available from the rep, you are glorified. If you're selling anything else, you are not. And they see so many people a day. And as a medical provider, they were trying to give great patient care and they don't want to talk in the hall for long, right? So they just want to write what they want
Sure.
to write and they want to move on. So there was a little bit of it that I didn't love is I went from kind of being the leader in the medical field in my office to now I'm the person at the front desk and they don't like me. And
Um,
I'm not a person where I was sad they didn't like me. I just knew the hurdles were really high to get over. And I don't think what I was representing was very great. So it didn't match up to be a good mesh in that regard. Plus, I like to serve people, and I couldn't even get to the people I wanted to serve, right? So I could have served people in that manner. But I've always wondered what role did that play in my life? Because I had fantastic mentors in the 120 days I was there. I had a fantastic boss. I did go to national sales trading. I did win. I was the top of my class in the sales group because I like to follow the rules and do what I'm supposed to do. But my heart wasn't there. It felt very cold and it felt very much like sales. Like I have to convince you that you need this, even if you don't want it. And that is
yeah.
not something that I'm into. I'm not into convincing. I think it a lot of times can lack integrity because you have to put food on your table and you have to sell it in order to get a paycheck, and it's your job. So I went, that's what brought me back to nursing. Now, here, I wasn't willing to do much in the beginning. And my sponsor would tell you, I'm sure, that I was really not that pleasant, but I was scared. I was petrified and I had zero self-development under my belt. And so I was just living in the stories in my head about how the sky's always falling, which turns out it's not. And what she said was, what are you willing to do? And I was willing to take her picture and a little bit of verbiage that she gave me to help kind of guide the process. So I wasn't being pushy, salesy, lacking integrity. So I
Hmm.
wasn't saying, I don't even care about you. I just need you to buy this, right? Which
Yeah.
honestly, unless you have the product that everybody wants, unless you have the cutting edge new Apple iPhone, it's really hard to get people to buy stuff, especially if they don't want it, they don't need it, it's not their interest level. So I was willing to do that, and I did do that. And what ended up happening was people started to say to me, what's in that? I've done a lot of stuff in my life with my skin, and I never used anything like that before. I'm like, oh, they said this might happen. So that's where it sort of began to bubble, where I thought, oh, maybe this is different. Maybe this isn't what I think it is. Maybe I should actually listen and absorb what is happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. Were there any skills that you brought with you from whether it was nursing or pharmaceutical sales that helped you with this new business venture, or was it brand new? You kind of had to learn everything all over again.
Well, I had to learn all the how-tos all over again. And the one thing I did do was I started reading The Slight Edge. So I look back on what I didn't do, which was a lot. In fact, Patrick used to say, don't ever say that out loud on stage or on a podcast. But I just was not coachable right out of the gates. But I was willing to get my product free. So I'm like, here, give me the menu, and I ordered what I wanted that I would do activity wise to go ahead and try to get my product free. But my people skills are pretty good. And that comes from nursing, to be honest with you. Like, I want to serve others. I want to help you get what you want and get you better or whatever it is. And I did pediatrics my whole life. So in pediatrics, and I'm a mom, I have 3 children. So this is with all due respect to all moms, but you are literally, as a pediatric medical provider, you are serving the mom who's kind of losing her mind, right? Because her baby is sick or doesn't look well or isn't eating or isn't growing. I was serving kids with cancer. So now I'm serving the mom who has a child with a life-threatening diagnosis, and they might be 5 days old or they're, 15 minutes from their 21st birthday, but it's the baby. So I,
Mhm.
through the years, honed a lot of skills with humans, right? So I came with how to talk to a human. That's about it. And then in reading The Slight Edge, I started to realize that the man that built the company wrote the book before the company existed, and he built the company on the premise of the book I was reading. And I thought, oh, joke's on me. I need to pay attention. I need to ask questions. I need to listen because Patrick's right. Like, this is something. And so
Mhm.
for me, it was more a compilation of having a few people skills, having a work ethic, right? Wanting more, seeing more. And then having people say to me, wow, what's in that product? It's really great. And my trust and integrity in Patrick, reading The Slight Edge, understanding the power of who Jeff Olson was and why he came back and started this company and what kind of the mission of the company was. And so, but I didn't know how to do, like, to go from a bottle of night cream on a website to sharing it with a person who said I want it, to actually having it be purchased, to actually then maybe earning a commission off of that whole transaction. I knew zero, zero. And honestly, the pharmaceutical training can backfire a little because you are programmed to get it sold. You are not
Yeah.
programmed to care what the end person wants, needs, loves, what makes them tick. You kind of are to get under their skin a little. So they'll write it. It's not great integrity, to be honest with you. But that's the
Yeah.
goal. And I had to adjust too, a little bit of that, because that's the opposite of really, I feel like, the vision here. And so
Mhm.
it was a curve, but I did little by little, as people started telling me the product was good, and as I read the book, and as I listened, I had great sponsorship, I had great support. And I little by little started to learn it, but very slight, like very, I know it sounds like cliche, but very slight edge compound effect in my learning also.
Well, that's yeah, we talk a lot about the slight edge on here and for good reason, and it applies to everything, not just direct selling, but like all kinds of different business ventures. Um, you mentioned it like that was kind of new for you. Like you weren't used to like personal development. Is that something that is that something they do in nursing or in pharmaceutical sales or like or is that just something you discovered through direct selling? I'm curious, like oftentimes people come to direct selling with a lot of kind of I would say kind of preconceived notions about, what it is or isn't. And there's a lot of people that get surprised by what it is or isn't. And so, and personal development seems to be one of those things. Like, is that something that you found here, or was that something you found somewhere else?
No, I 100% found it here. Um, and I don't know why, when my box came, that I opened and took the Slight Edge book out. I don't know why I did read the 10 pages a day, because at the time I was working 2 different nurse practitioner jobs. I was out of the house, I don't know, 50 to 60 hours a week. I had a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. They were all going to 3 different locations. My husband was building his own personal business and traveling a lot. And I didn't have, I mean, when people say they don't have time, I'm like, you can't say that to me. Like we can go head to head because I firmly believe that when you want something or you see something or you have it in your soul, you will rearrange to make it happen. And for whatever reason, if you don't, it's not something that's either a priority to you or important to you at that moment. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that that's not something that you're seeking with your soul. And so I really can't pinpoint why I did it. But I also, I loosely say, because there's a lot of bad things in the world, but I don't think the universe ever misses either on certain things. And so the book it got read, right? It got read, and it wasn't on Audible at the time. And I think I harassed Jeff personally a long time to get it on Audible because I said you could capture more people like me just commuting to work on Audible. So anyhow, it is on Audible now, which is fantastic. But I don't know how that happened, but that is really the floodgates of opening my mindset and opening my belief in that I could have anything that I wanted, that this could be real, that these people could be doing the right thing with integrity, with a compensation plan that will help you do different things with your life should you plug in and utilize everything, including being coachable. And I was not coachable because I didn't have any belief in myself. I didn't have any faith that I could have more. I didn't have any faith that I could do anything. I would have worked at that nurse practitioner job till the day I died. I mean, I had the same job for 18 years. I just promoted myself with a higher education. So for me, Neora is the only reason that I know what self-development is. And it 1000%, without a shadow of a doubt, has completely changed the trajectory of my life and of my children's lives. Because I think totally differently now. Totally differently. As far as, what's this, like my first thought now, and this has just happened in the last year or so, instead of when something happens, whether it's that the whole gallon of milk explodes on the kitchen floor or the car is in an accident or you have a major leak in your basement, you need a $10,000 repair. I immediately now go to, okay, what's the solution, right? There's not a lot I can do about what happened. Now, what are we going to do to fix it? And so that is because of everything that the premise of this company taught me. And so if you look at the way I've raised my kids, if you look at the choices they're making, my daughter is going to be a senior, and I thank God I had this because I was a half empty, scared, nervous person, and I would have raised her to be a half empty, scared, nervous person. And as a result, I've raised her probably that she'll never come back, which is fine. Like I can't wait to FaceTime her from the cool places she goes. My only request is that she lives somewhere really cool, so I get to travel somewhere really cool. But she's ready to go. She's ready to see the world. She's ready to be out there. She wants to do it all and be all the things and is fearless, but in a very good way, not in a risky way. And I think, thank God that I had this to be able to kind of heal myself and my stories in my head and really live. And then I've in turn sort of taught them to do the same.
Yeah, I love that. I think there are a lot of people out here listening to this podcast who are parents or will be parents or have relationships with the kind of that upcoming generation. I think it's awesome that they're coming out that way. And I'm curious, was there a moment when it kind of clicked and you were like, hey, I now think differently, and you realized that, or was that kind of a gradual slight edge process to kind of change that mindset to what you just described?
Probably more a gradual slight edge. I had a little bit of it. I have friends that tell me, friends in Neora that I've known forever, that say that when my son was born, I changed completely because I quickly realized that life is very precious and in any turn things can change. And when he started to grow and evolve and was normal, and really shouldn't be at all. Like we've had two different physicians tell us he had a 1 in a million chance to turn out the way he has. They actually study his brain now locally with serial MRIs because they're trying to figure out how it fixed itself essentially. And they know plasticity and all that, but they've never seen happen what has happened with him. And
Wow.
so ever since then, I've sort of been more open to, okay, what's next? What's here? What's there? With a little bit more open mindset. It's probably why I opened the book. Um, but I think about my journey sort of inside Neora, and when I got in about 7 or 8 months, I had a fast trajectory in the beginning because I do sort of burn the midnight oil. I like to just achieve. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I just said, okay, I did this. Now what? And they would say, oh, here's your next hit. And here's, and I just would, you set a goal, I go for it. And I just did that, sort of not really knowing in my 20 minutes between like 9 and 9:30 at night that I had, or maybe I used to take the train. It's a whole long story, but I had about 13 minutes on the train. So I would get a lot done in 13 minutes with our business.
Yeah.
And because I would absolutely not 100% work my Neora business while I was working as a nurse practitioner. It was a breach of ethics to me to be at my desk at work working Neora. So people that I worked with had no idea about Neora because I wouldn't cross it. And so I was walking in, or if I was walking to lunch, or if I was walking to do a procedure, I mean, I'm walking down a link that's just a hallway, right? So I can send another text or whatever.
Hmm.
But about 7 or 8 months in, I had achieved some pretty significant things in New York, earning my car bonus. And so I had gotten paid. At the time, we had an iPad bonus. The iPad had come. Everything that Neora says they will do, if you hit X or if you achieve Y, I've gotten all of that. And so about 8 months in, I thought, well, I need to tell people about this. And I did. I started telling lots of people and recruiting lots of people because my faith in the integrity of who this company is was kind of the stamp got put on top. This is it. Like you can't not tell people. You can't
Hmm.
risk other people not knowing about what's possible here. And I changed in that moment. And then that's when I did really start to, what's next? Like I swear when I ended the Slide Edge, I started over again. I was like, I got to read it twice. I've read it 5 times so far. And then I went on to whatever Jeff says in the Slide Edge is next. And I think it was Think and Grow Rich. And I remember thinking, I can do what these people are doing. I can do this. This is not hard. You just have to do it. And I used to believe you have to be someone important or special or have all this stuff to make a lot of money or to be really successful. I just always thought it wasn't me. And in those moments, I said, this is the vehicle, and why not me? And
Sure.
began to forge ahead with whatever was going to come my way.
I love it. I love it. So, did you kind of start integrating that into your business? And would you say that's part of the reason that you were so successful in this business? Or is there more to it? Like I always want to know
Well,
like
so I think
skills.
I stayed
What are
exactly who I am, right? I
Okay.
I tend to be smart alecky. I'm a straight shooter. I really kind of told them the facts. I said I wanted to use the night cream. I didn't want to pay for it. I ended up getting a handful of customers in, about a week. And then I realized people are actually looking for products that work, that are clean. People are willing to spend um, an amount of money that equates to the value that it is for them. If they're interested and it shows value in things that are important to them, they will spend the money 100%. I began to kind of take down what I thought people thought, which is 100% wrong always, right? Those are
Right.
and I began to just ask, hey, you look great. We are 38 years old. You're obviously doing something that I was naive to. I would love to send you some info about this night cream. Here's a picture of our friend Patrick's wife from college. Oh, do you think that picture's real, Mandy? I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, if not, he's an idiot. Like I began to say exactly what people think, but are so oftentimes afraid to say out loud or think they have to be like businesslike or official or, sound important. And I never did that. I just was
Mhm.
like, I don't know, we're going to use it. I'm going to use it. We should just use it. And I literally used to say, if you're mad at me, we're going to ship it back and get your money back. Not if you don't like it, not if it breaks you out. I didn't say any of like the pharmaceutical terms. I was like, well,
Mhm.
when you're mad at me, we'll ship it back. And I remember calling Patrick and saying, this was still when checkbooks were top notch. And I said, I will drive to Indianapolis and get your checkbook if this company doesn't give these people their money back. And I had a box of empty night creams. I never shipped anything back, Dave. I had a box of empty night creams that I saved so that I could ship back and not inconvenience my millions of customers because it wasn't real.
Mhm.
The joke was on me when I had a box of empty night creams that never
Yeah.
returned, that never needed to be sent back. So it was a compilation, of my braveness and my store shutting my stories down in my head and just going after it. That took time, a lot of time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my realness and just saying, here's what it is. If you're interested, great. If you're not, no big deal. I mean, that is my tagline. I want people to, when their day comes, whether they have wrinkles or they need an extra $50 a month or they need some inspiration in their life. I want them to think of me, even if the last time I mentioned Neora to them was 10 years ago. And so I've always felt that if I can um, be the person that is like, you can do it or you don't have to. No big deal. How are your kids? Like, you can do it or you don't have to. How was your vacation? I want them to think of me as me, not that girl that sells stuff.
Yeah.
So I've remained really, really close to that. And it's worked really, really well.
That's good. I love that. What and remind me how long have you been doing Neora now?
So almost 11 years.
So in 11 years, what would you say what would you say has been your favorite part of this business so
Oh
far?
gosh. Oh, that's hard. Um, there's a couple things. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that working as a nurse practitioner, I never saw my children. Literally, I left at 6. I dropped the baby off at like 6:30 at daycare, and I was always the last one to get him. It's like 6 p.m. My daughter was just saying the other day how it used to be dark, and I would leave her there late. Yes, that's accurate. Um, and so it allowed me, by building this business and sharing it with other people and helping people, it allowed me the choice to basically walk away from my nurse practitioner career and utilize this vehicle to create an income to help support my family financially. And
Mhm.
so the single greatest gift it's ever given me is a relationship with my kids that I would 100% have not had. Um, the friendships I've made in the company, the friends that I have all over the United States, that is second to none. It is second to none to know people in all these cities. It's like it's seamless. It's like we all live in the same city. We feel like we see each other all the time. It's just a couple times a year. But that part, some of my favorite memories of my lifetime have been with Neora people. Whether it's
Mhm.
just sitting in the hotel lobby laughing about something silly till we cry, whether it's helping somebody, whether it's getting, we've obviously had when you're doing anything this long, there are losses and people have bound together through some of the most difficult times. I lost both of my parents in the last few years, and the Neora people sending me gifts and checking in on me and sending me really like sentimental things that aren't has nothing to do with their value. It has everything to do with them noticing things that were important to me and taking care of me in hard times. I mean, those things are irreplaceable. Um, the money you make here is or can make here is just a small fraction of what it will give you as a human being and give you the outlook on life. And then to be able to, so my very last favorite thing would be helping other people. So for me to know that I can help someone else get whatever they need to make their life better, and they can use this as that vehicle, that makes me like that fills my soul. That's my nurse in me. How can I? Because people say, "Do you miss nursing?" And I said, "Well, I miss the teenage kids because they were hysterical, and they just were funny. They'd be like, oh, I'm going to prom on Friday." I'm like, "Well, not if you don't take your medicine on time today and yesterday and the day before." And they're like, "Well, how do you know?" I'm like, "I know everything. You need to just do what I say. I'm in charge of you when you're in this building." And they're like, God, I didn't need two moms. I miss that, but but I got my own children. I got to be with my own children. And I get to do that with people here. It's just a different way to help people.
Mm, I love that. I love that. Uh, what's next for you?
Mm. So in January, I had kind of a come to Mandy moment with myself, and my parents had both died, and it was very, very difficult. And I decided that grief was going on the shelf in January, and it was time to get back to work. And so I spent most of January lining things up and cleaning things up and organizing all the things that you do when you have a business. And then the filler was announced in February. And again, I'm like, the universe doesn't miss. I oftentimes think, oh, if the filler was launched last May, my dad died on May 1st, and I thought I would have missed it. I wouldn't have been mentally present. I wouldn't have been able to be physically present. And here I am prepping for February, having no idea anything's coming, especially not the caliber of what's possible. And I thought do not miss that. Do not just like take note of it. And so I've been prepping this year on how can I help people? How can I be more efficient? How can I help my own business? How can I make sure other people are aware? And then that's not just me deciding. That is seeking the advice of anyone that's had success here or in other parts of this industry or in any industry. What are people that are I'm going to be close to 50 soon. And some of the most high achieving people in the world are doing it in their 50s right now. And I think, okay, that's going to be me. And we're on this trajectory now. And because I can. So I've
Mm,
just been diligently very mundane. So mundane that like I wish I could record it all and share it with people because I think obviously, people only see your highlight reel. They never see
mhm.
the dirty work that's 5 a.m. or midnight or missing something because you wanted to put more time in. But I have been diligently laying the foundation of kind of my next run here. And I don't think there's any irony that I personally have gotten myself back to where I need to be, and that this launch was in May, and now we're sliding into fall. And I really believe that if you were to look at Neora as an opportunity and you were to want maybe more time or more money, or, I mean, seriously amazing products, you cannot use them properly, correctly, and long enough and not have a result. You truly
Mhm.
cannot. And when you look at the caliber of Neofiller and being sort of exclusive in the space of topical anti-aging, it doesn't exist except with us. And so in my mind's eye, I look at all the things. We are doing what's right for people. We are clean. We have integrity. And then we're launching things that don't exist except with us. And I see that as the greatest gift anyone could ever receive and be able to take and move forward with in their own way to get whatever it is that they want.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for coming on the program today. It's been really, really, I think really, really insightful for all of our guests and great to get to know you a little bit better and let people see that. So
Yeah,
so
thanks so
thank
much.
you.
I really am. I'm just eternally grateful that an entire company and a family has put their blood, sweat, and tears into something for other people, right? The whole make people better. Every company has a tagline, but Neora does that and literally shows up for that no matter what. And that is almost unheard of anywhere on the planet. And so
Yeah,
I think that, our gratitude for those of us here that have stayed and been here and continue to see and do what we do it's a testament to you guys. It's a testament to the corporate executive staff and the Olson family and you guys showing up day in and day out for human beings when quite honestly, there's a lot of other things you guys could be doing. So I'm grateful and will continue to listen and be coachable and share and move forward with everything we've got going because it's a pretty exciting time.
it is exciting, and it's exciting because we get to work with people like you and to hear your story and then that's just it's inspiring to hear people from all walks of life come here and do amazing things because you are amazing people, and when you combine an amazing person with an amazing business, like good things happen. So it's kind of stacking the deck, but in the best possible way.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot like Disney World, and you won't know till you know. And you'll get on the other side of the fence and go, oh, wow, this is really it. Because when I describe it to people, sometimes I'm like, I know it sounds a little bit like woo-woo, but I promise
Sure.
you, if you come here and you try hard enough to achieve what you came here for, you'll get it. And then you'll know what I know, and you will be so excited. So
Yeah.
it's pretty phenomenal.
I love it. I love it.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Mandy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you on the next incentive.
All right. Oh yeah, I'll be there. Cabo, here we come.
All right. We'll see you next time.
That was Dave Fleming talking with Mandy Drozda about her transformation from nurse practitioner to thriving entrepreneur. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you learned something from it, please share it with a friend or colleague who you think would also benefit. And if you're new to Built to Win, we invite you to go back and listen to our story from the beginning. You can find us wherever you download your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, please rate us and leave a review to let us know what you think of the show.